I want to take a trip up north, and this time I want to take my car without the trailer. And for the most part that's fine, but as you might recall from a previous video, I was having roof issues. And so I want to take my big 8-foot step ladder so I can go up on the roof. I need to put it in an equinox. And if I put the seat all the way forward, then I've got about 6 feet to put my 8-foot ladder in. Let's see what we can do. I have my ladder here, and let's see how it goes. Okay, that's 6 feet. Now, if I push really hard, what happens? I need to cheat. I think it's working. Okay, well, let's see what's going on here. Come around here, and there we are. I had to bring the ladder up here so that it just about touches. I'll bring it back a little bit. Ooh. It almost touches the dashboard there. So this could be a little awkward for driving, but, well, sometimes that's what you got to do. If you want to get an 8-foot ladder inside of a 6-foot space. My off-grid land up north has no water except what I bring with me. And so I've had to come up with solutions for carrying water. Now this is a typical thing that I've had for a long time, kind of a little jerry can thing that works really nicely for carrying water. This one has a little bit bigger capacity and a nicer thing for pouring it out if I want to use it as like a little faucet for hand washing or something. This is one that I got from my daughter's ex-boyfriend for Christmas one year. I've always been grateful that she waited till after Christmas before she broke up with him, because I've really liked this thing. And then these over here, and you might think, well, what are you going to do, laundry up there? These are fabric softener bottles, and it's an idea I got, I believe, from watching Gone Again, and they did this. And so when you're done with these for the fabric softener, then you keep them and you fill them up with water, and they've got these nice little spout thingies. And so they're really handy for washing hands, washing some dishes, washing your face, pouring on a plant, or putting out a fire. I mean, all these things are. But these are free, they're nice, they've got those nice little spouts. It makes it really easy to use. And they're nice size so that they're easy to carry. You can store them in all sorts of little places, wherever you have in the car. Now these two big ones, they have their own place on the floor in my back seat, and then these I can just shove wherever I need to. And I always end up having more water with me than I need, and better to have too much than too little. So that is how I carry my water to my off-grid land up north. And whenever I'm going to go out into the woods, I always want to bring a chainsaw. Even if I'm not planning to cut down a tree, trees might fall down across the 2-track, or you never know what's going to happen, where you're going to need a chainsaw when you're out in the woods. Now, if I'm going to bring the chainsaw, I'm going to have it in the back of my Equinox. Now, it's got gas and oil and stuff in it. There's a separate gas can, and I always worry about, is something going to leak, going to spill? And so I always take my daughter's old sled here, and I put the chainsaw and the gasoline can and the extra chainsaw stuff in my daughter's old sled, and that's how I transport the chainsaw and keep things nice in the back of the car and not spill stuff back there that I don't want to have spilled back there. I keep my sleeping bag in this tote. It's very convenient because it keeps the mice out and it's really easy to carry the thing around. So let's see how this works. So I just have my sleeping bag out like this, out in the tote. Why do I do this? Well, a long time ago, and I bought this sleeping bag in about 1986, so it's 40 years old. And by the way, it's really hung in there. I'm always amazed at how well this still keeps me warm at night. It's getting a little bit torn on the shell there, so I'm not sure if it'll last another 40 years or not. But it keeps me warm like it's new. And back in the 80s, one of my friends told me, don't put it back in this little stuff sack. You know, it came with this little sack that was pretty small. You could stuff it in there. But he said it'll break down the fibers if you keep it in your stuff sack. So I haven't. So I keep it in this, and it doesn't compress it. And then I also, in here, keep a pillow. I used to take a pillow from home, but then one day I was on my way to camping. I realized I had forgotten my pillow. So I went into like a dollar store or something, and I bought a new pillow, and I've never taken it out of the plastic, which means it always stays clean. Now, when I camp, I put a liner in my sleeping bag, and the liner kind of wraps around this, and I have a pillowcase I put over it, and maybe sometimes put a sweatshirt on top just to keep me away from the plastic. And so that stays perfectly clean and good. And I keep it in the tote, and I'm able to keep the tote stored in my trailer. Don't even have to bring it in the house. And then when I get to where I'm camping, I will set up my sleeping bag, and then the tote works as a little table so that when I'm sleeping I can put my glasses on it, maybe a little lantern, some bear spray, my phone. So there's a lot of stuff that you want to have just handy when you're sleeping, a little flashlight. And so this just works really well to keep my sleeping bag in there, and then when I'm at the campsite, I use it as a night table. When I made my Murphy bed in my trailer, I made it such that this would just nicely slide under it, so that I could just pull it out as far as I needed to get the spaces I wanted to store and not have it in the way. When I'm in my cabin up north, I can't put it under my bed. My bed is just set up different, but it just works as a great night table. And so that's how I store and transport my sleeping bag. I carry my food in another little tote, and there it is. I can always see what's inside of it. I haven't loaded it up yet. But usually if I'm going to go away for a few days, I can fit all the food I need for a few days into this tote. And you've seen the kind of food I bring when I go camping in my previous videos. So it nicely fits in there. It keeps the mice out of the food. You can see this got a little bit too close to the fire, but it still works. I don't know, maybe I'll replace that someday. I used to a long time ago, I'd throw my food in the car and I'd make 10 trips back and forth to the car to get my food out, bring it to where I wanted it. So I finally just started putting it all in a tote. It's all right there. Can opener goes in there, whatever else I need, a little bit of silverware. So for wherever I'm going to be eating, everything I need is right there in the tote. So how do I charge my phone when I'm off-grid? This is a battery pack from my cordless drill. And I have this little thing that slides onto there. Usually better with two hands. And then it's got some little USB ports in the back. And for a long time, that is how I'd recharge my phone. I would run some little USB powered lights off from that, and that works great because there's really a lot of power, good battery retention in one of these. Now, eventually I got some of these. These are some nice little battery packs. They are rechargeable by solar, so if I'm going to be camping for a long time, then I can recharge my phone with these at night, and then during the day I can put them out in the sun and they recharge themselves, and that's just a great system. Mosquitoes. This is a little thing that my wife gave me. It's got a rechargeable battery in it, and then you press this button and then it heats up some little thing in there that turns into smoke, which hopefully is not carcinogenic, but anyway, the mosquitoes don't like it, and so I was amazed at how well that works for keeping the mosquitoes away. And then as long as we're out here, what is this? This strange little white bottle. And it has this little top on it that's got this little, where is it? There it is, a little slit. And so you fill up that little bottle with water, put that thing on top, and that is a portable bidet. So when you're going to be out in the woods, you've got no facilities, how are you going to deal with it? And different people deal with it in different ways. I've had different ways I've dealt with it over the years. This is a very common thing for backpackers to use, but I saw one of these first on a video done by a guy who does a lot of off-grid trailer camping. So now, since I'm on 20 acres and I'm the only person there, and I'm only there a few days a month, then I can go out in the woods and I do the Asian squat. Now, if I were going to be there a lot more, I'd dig a hole. I find I usually don't have to dig a hole because by the time I come back a month later, it's kind of magically gone anyway. So anyway, you do the Asian squat, and then you have this filled with water, and then you aim this properly and squeeze this really hard, and it power washes that particular part of your body. And so then just one swipe with a paper towel and you're clean and dry. Of course, that paper towel goes in the fire or the trash or something, whatever you're going to do. So that works really well for me. No need for any other kind of facilities. I would say, since I don't dig a hole, if you end up walking around in my woods, you might just want to watch where you step. But has not been an issue. And there's no toilet paper flying through the woods, which is so gross that I always hate when I see that happening. Now, when I go up to my cabin up north in the summertime, sometimes it's pretty warm in there. And the one big regret I have about my cabin is I got cheap on the windows. And so I don't have enough windows to have cross ventilation. I have two windows. They're on walls that are 90 degrees to each other, so I don't have cross ventilation. But now my son gave me this for Christmas. It's a battery-operated fan. I used it the last time I went up there, and puts out a nice breeze. I can set it in a window and put out some nice breeze. It'll oscillate if I want to, or not if I want to, not to. It's got light if I wanted to use it for a light. It has different settings. Its battery seems to last a long time. It has a remote in case I want to operate it from across the room. And so that's my solution for cooling in my off-grid cabin up north.